Conquer the Sky, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Zay, collectively known as SoCal Uncensored or
SCU! This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot, the worst podcast I've ever been on. Word.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot. Today is Sunday, May the 31st, 2020. I want to thank everybody, as always, for listening, watching, and subscribing on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you get your podcasts from. Make sure you're following on social media. It's at Catch, Hook, Shoot on all social media platforms. Head to patreon.com/catchhookshoot for all your bonus content and prowrestlingtees.com/catchhookshoot for all your t-shirt needs. If you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. Before I get too deep into the show here, I just want to say, I hope everybody is staying safe, staying healthy, not just with the quarantine with COVID-19, which is still a big issue, but also with all of the just everything going on the last few days with the protests and some of those protests turning into riots, and some people just taking advantage of the situation that are not. Let me make it clear: these are not protesters that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that are taking advantage of the protests to go out there and commit crimes. It's not what this is all about. And I posted on social media just yesterday, my thoughts on everything going on. I mean, there is a very clear pattern in this country of police violence against minorities, and it needs to stop. And I just my thoughts and my good wishes are with everybody who's out there protesting, standing up for what they believe in, and I just hopefully there can be some type of change to come from all of this. It's a crazy time in the world. Like I said, I'm just my thoughts are with everybody who's out there standing up for what they believe in and trying to force some kind of change, because it is desperately needed. So that being said, let's get into our usual programming here, and we are starting it all off like we always do with the match of the week. Alright, so the match of the week this week comes from AEW's pay-per-view Double or Nothing last week, and I am talking about Stadium Stampede. Now, there was some mixed reaction to this match online. Of course, there were some people who didn't like it for whatever their reasons were, and, it is what it is. But, I thought this match was fantastic. I really do like the cinematic matches that we've been seeing more and more of during this empty arena era, as I'm calling it, and the Stadium Stampede. I mean, with any cinematic match, it can go one of two ways. It can be fantastic and tremendously entertaining, or it can just completely flop, and this one fell on the entertaining side. I mean, you had some high spots, you had some funny spots. It was just a really cool match. I mean, you had God, where do you even start? I mean, you had Hangman riding in on a horse and chasing Sammy Guevara out of the stadium. You had Matt Jackson suplexing Sammy Guevara 100 yards from one end zone to the other at one point in the match. We had a bar fight between Hangman Page and Jake Hager. We saw Kenny Omega hit a one-winged angel from the stands to the field onto Sammy Guevara for the victory in the match for the Elite. We saw three or four different versions of Matt Hardy during one point in the match, and I gotta say the MVP of this match really was Sammy Guevara. He was involved in some of the best spots of this match. Like I talked about the 100-yard suplexes, the being chased out of the arena by Hangman on a horse, being chased up into the stands by Matt Hardy and Kenny Omega in a golf cart, and then taking that nasty one-winged angel from Kenny Omega at the end of the match. So, I mean, all around, I thought it was great. I loved it. I thought it was entertaining as hell, and it was a great way to end that pay-per-view for AEW. So that is my match of the week. If you only see one match this week, make it the Stadium Stampede from AEW's Double or Nothing from last Saturday. So, rolling right along, let's get into the next segment of the show, which is my top 3 highlights of the week, and it is called the 3 Count. So first up on the 3 Count this week on AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, we finally saw the AEW debut of the tag team formerly known as the Revival, now known as simply FTR, and a couple... a lot of speculation as far as what FTR means. Could be like Fear the Revolt, formerly the Revival, but based on the T-shirt that was put out and the comments made by FTR, the apparently the name of the team is Fuck the Rest, which kind of cool. Obviously, they're not going to be introduced as that; they're just going to be FTR. But I think. This one, long overdue. FTR, they were trying to get out of WWE for quite a while, finally got their releases, and now they are part of AEW. So I think, AEW's tag team division just keeps getting more and more stacked. You've got, Private Party, you've got SCU, you've got the Dark Order, you've got the Young Bucks, now we've got FTR. It's, AEW's got an amazing tag team division, so, and this just adds to it. Number 2 on the 3 Count, again from AEW, we saw another debut of Brian Cage, made his debut during the Casino Ladder match at the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. And he apparently is being managed by Taz, which is an interesting pairing, but I think it's working well so far. Showed up on Dynamite again, and Brian Cage was the winner of that Casino Ladder match, so he now gets a shot at the World Championship against Jon Moxley at the next AEW pay-per-view, which is Fyter Fest. So, Brian Cage officially part of AEW, and apparently from what Tony Khan had said, he actually signed back in January, I think it was. But obviously he was out with an injury at that time. He had just had surgery to repair, I believe it was a torn pectoral muscle or a torn bicep, one of those two. Torn muscle in the upper body. But so Brian Cage, another huge addition to the AEW roster, another big guy. I cannot wait to see some of the matches that he is going to have. I'm really looking forward to seeing him go in there against guys like Lance Archer, like Wardlow, like Luchasaurus, some of the other bigger guys on the AEW roster. So welcome to AEW, Brian Cage. And number 3 on the 3 Count, we've got a new WWE United States champion in Apollo Crews, won the championship on Monday Night Raw. It's Cruz's first title in WWE since he's been there, and it's long overdue. Apollo Crews is a hell of a wrestler, and I think he's another one that kind of fell victim to being overlooked because of his size. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he can do some amazing stuff in that ring. He's got an awesome look. He's just an all-around great talent. So, long overdue, about time for Apollo Crews, your new United States champion. So let's get into news and rumors for the week on WWE. On all 3 programs, actually, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, we saw people from the Performance Center and some NXT stars actually in the crowd during the shows, kind of taking a page out of AEW's book there, because AEW's had wrestlers in the crowd for quite a while now on Dynamite. But and it does give it a different feel having people in the crowd, even if it is other wrestlers. It just kind of, I don't know how to explain it. I mean, if you know, it just kind of gives that different vibe of having people in the crowd cheering and booing and chanting and whatever. So. WWE using Performance Center trainees as well as some NXT talent in the audience for all of their shows. Saw another appearance from the Iconics. It looks like they're gunning to get back the women's tag team championships. Put a pretty good pretty good beatdown on Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross on Monday Night Raw. So, yeah, the Iconics definitely looking to get back into that women's tag team title picture. Saw, I guess what I would call an interesting promo from Liv Morgan during Monday Night Raw. I don't know, it was odd. I mean, it wasn't bad. It was a great promo. Liv is becoming a pretty good talker, but I don't know, I didn't understand the point of it, I guess. But hopefully that'll, become clear in the coming weeks. We'll see, what kind of storyline she ends up in, who she ends up having rivalries with or anything like that. So keep an eye on Liv Morgan, because it looks like they're going to be spotlighting her a little bit. We found out Nia Jax is the new number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship, and she'll be taking on Asuka. Forgot who the champ was for a minute. I almost said Becky Lynch, but she'll be taking on Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship at Backlash. We also saw MVP and Bobby Lashley have a confrontation backstage with the Street Profits, and that turned into a tag team match later on in the show. I'm really liking this pairing of Lashley and MVP. Lashley is definitely a main event guy, or at least he should be, and I think MVP is exactly what Lashley needs, because he's one, doesn't cut the best promos, but he is just dominant and is just a monster in the ring. So putting him with somebody who is very good on the mic, like MVP, as his mouthpiece, I think is a perfect pairing. Obviously, they've got history. I talked about this before. They've got history from TNA and things like that. So, yeah, I'm definitely here for MVP and Lashley. Also had an announcement on Raw that next week there's going to be a retirement ceremony for Rey Mysterio, and that's going to be hosted by Seth Rollins. Now, I'm pretty sure Rey Mysterio is not actually retiring. I'm pretty sure this is, a storyline based off of Seth Rollins taking out Mysterio's eye, quote unquote, a couple of weeks ago. So I'm sure this is just something to advance that storyline. Not sure when Rey is supposed to come back to the ring. I don't know if this is going to be the opening that they use to bring in his son Dominic as part of the rivalry with Seth Rollins, kind of like they did with Samoa Joe when Dominic caught a bit of a beat down there. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, a quote-unquote retirement ceremony for Rey Mysterio is coming up tomorrow night on Raw, so that should be interesting. Moving on to NXT, we found out that the finals for the Cruiserweight Championship is going to be Phantasma taking on Drake Maverick. WWE really pushing this Maverick storyline. Obviously his release was announced when there was that big mass exodus from WWE with releases a couple months ago, or not quite a couple months ago, but Drake Maverick just drummed up a lot of support online after he posted his reaction to being released, and WWE is capitalizing on it. So hopefully, this will be a situation where Drake will be kept around. I mean, he's put on some great matches the last couple of weeks. I'm glad they finally let him get into the ring on a pretty much regular basis, because up until now he had been the GM of 205 Live, and he had been a manager for AOP briefly, and he had a couple of matches here and there, but Drake Maverick, Rockstar Spud, whatever you want to call him, another one who's a great performer in the ring, and in WWE just kind of fell victim to being a little, a smaller guy, being a little undersized, or however you want to put it, and I think that's kind of sad on WWE's part that they don't really give the smaller guys much of a chance when they can get in there and work their asses off like Drake Maverick can. So honestly, I hope Maverick is the winner, ends up with the Cruiserweight title. I think that'd be a great ending to this story. We also found out that at the In Your House event, takeover event next week, Charlotte will be defending the NXT Women's Championship against Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley in a triple threat match. I don't think anybody was too surprised by that. we saw a kind of a parody of the Gargano, Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae segments that we've seen the last few weeks. Saw a parody of that from Keith Lee and Mia Yim with their a parody of the Dinner with the Garganos segments, which was pretty cool. So I'm liking this rivalry with between Lee and Yim against the Gargano and LeRae. So that's going to be another match coming up at In Your House is Johnny Gargano versus Keith Lee. So I cannot wait for that one. And it looks like we're going to be seeing a new rivalry on the tag team front in NXT. We saw kind of a vignette with Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, who are a phenomenal tag team. Have never been tag team champions, never been predominantly in the tag team title picture. I mean, they've had title matches, but they've never been like a staple of the title picture, which is just a travesty because they're one of the best tag teams that NXT has, quite honestly. It's sounding like they're starting to work towards a program with Imperium and Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, so I can't wait to see that one. Those should be some amazing tag team matches between those two teams. We also found out that Adam Cole is going to be defending the NXT Championship against Velveteen Dream in Your House, and a stipulation on this one is if Dream loses, he can no longer challenge for the NXT title. So, again, should be an amazing match with those two guys. And then we had the big cage fight between Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher. This one was crazy. This was a straight up fight. They wanted to have that kind of MMA type feel to it, and it did. And these two guys went in there and they beat the hell out of each other. With Kurt Angle as a special referee, looks like Kurt Angle's going to be back in WWE after his release during that big mass release that WWE did. But this match was amazing. Timothy Thatcher was victorious in that one, and that was kind of the exit for Matt Riddle from NXT, because it was announced on Smackdown by Kurt Angle that Matt Riddle is the newest member of the Smackdown roster. So it looks like Riddle is pretty much done with NXT, and he's going to be on Smackdown going forward. Which, great for him. Getting moved up to one of the top shows. Also on SmackDown, we saw kind of a disturbing storyline. That's really the best word I can use for it. WWE playing off of Jeff Hardy's past legal problems, DUIs and things like that. Open to the show, we saw looked like a car wreck outside the Performance Center. Car was up on the curb, and Elias was laid on the ground, implying that he had been hit by the car. Turned out to be Jeff Hardy's rental car. They found Hardy laying in the bushes, a little while later, and he was arrested by the police. And just, it was uncomfortable to watch. I'm not a huge fan of those type of storylines. It's reminiscent of stuff that was done with Road Warrior Hawk back in the day. Using his substance abuse issues as part of a storyline, and same thing with Scott Hall using his drinking as part of a storyline on Monday Nitro. And it just, I don't, like I said, I'm not a fan of it. I always say there's an audience for everything. I'm sure there's people out there who like it, who find it intriguing, and obviously, the wrestlers are going along with it. I'm hoping they have some matter of say-so in something like this when it's something that is that close to their real life. If they're signing off on it and they're going along with it, that's fine. I'm not taking issue with that. It's just I'm just saying, for me personally, stuff like that makes it's uncomfortable for me to watch, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. But like I said, that's just my own opinion. And obviously, this is being used to advance the storyline with Jeff Hardy and Sheamus, because Jeff Hardy did show up at the end of the show, cost Sheamus the match that he kind of weaseled his way into against Daniel Bryan in the semifinals of the Intercontinental title tournament. So obviously this is going to be used to advance that storyline. Speaking of the Intercontinental title tournament, the finals of that are set. It's going to be AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan. That's a main event classic wrestling match anywhere on the planet. I don't care what you say. I don't care who you are. I don't care what kind of wrestling you're into. If you cannot get behind an AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan match, you're not a wrestling fan. I'm sorry. These are two of the best the best wrestlers of the last 20 years. So this is going to be a fantastic match. And, I would assume, actually, you know what, thinking about it now, I can't remember if they said that match is going to happen next week on Smackdown or if it's going to be on Backlash. So we'll have to wait and see on that. And that's my fault for not paying close enough attention or looking that up before I started recording this. But the finals in the Intercontinental title tournament, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, I will be glued to my TV for that one whenever it happens. We actually saw a double countout, which doesn't happen a whole lot anymore. Sonya Deville and Lacey Evans. Now, Sonya has kind of been on this kick, talking about all the blonde wrestlers in WWE and stuff like that. And, pretty standard stuff, saying that they get... basically saying that they get preferential treatment. They're the office's favorite, quote unquote, because I think everybody knows by now Vince McMahon has an affinity for blondes, but so it's kind of playing off of that. But Sonya and Lacey actually had a pretty good match, ended in a double countout. So I would assume they would continue forward with that. I mean, Sonya and Lacey, I could see putting on some very good matches. And both of them at some point getting into the SmackDown Women's Championship picture. So I'm interested to see how they're gonna move forward with that one. Talking about the Women's SmackDown Championship, we saw Bayley get Sasha Banks into some trouble yet again. I mean, and this is stuff that's just kind of playing into the what's eventually going to be the match that's supposed to happen between Sasha and Bayley. Because it's been widely rumored for a while that they're going to be splitting the two of them up and having them in a program for the women's championship on SmackDown. But yeah, Bayley again, running her mouth and getting Sasha into a match with Alexa Bliss, which Sasha actually ended up winning with some help from Bayley. But and Nikki Cross and Bayley were on commentary during this match, and honestly, the commentary between these two, the back and forth between Bayley and Nikki Cross was as entertaining as anything that was going on in the ring, and I say that in a good way. It was just a really, really cool segment of the show. I liked it. I thought it was great. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there talking trash about it, but whatever. Like I said, there's an audience for everything, and just as much as there's an audience for everything, there's people out there that are going to hate on everything. So it is what it is. But that is leading into next week, a tag team title match between Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defending against Bayley and Sasha Banks. So keep an eye on that one. We could see new women's tag team champions, but I don't think that's going to happen just yet. I think this will be more leading towards Bayley and Sasha splitting up. I think we may see like some dissension or some miscues during the match between Bayley and Sasha, because you've already seen a little bit of the two of them butting heads. So I'm sure this is going to lead more into that. Some miscellaneous WWE news. Looks like Drew Gulak has re-signed with WWE. Last week it talked about it. He wasn't released, but his contract expired, and he hadn't come to terms on a new one yet. It looks like that has been resolved. He's back on the SmackDown roster page on WWE.com. He was on SmackDown this week, didn't wrestle, but he was seen backstage during one of the backstage segments. So it looks like Gulak has come to terms on a new contract with WWE. Talked about Matt Riddle moving up to SmackDown. It looks like Dominik Dijakovic could be moving up to either Raw or SmackDown as well, if the rumors are to be believed. Also, some other interesting contract news. Apparently, Adam Cole, who just hit 1 year as NXT champion, his contract is coming up sometime at the end of this summer, by all accounts, August or September. And I haven't seen anything about a new contract being signed for him quite yet. So, of course, anytime somebody's contract is coming up and they haven't signed an extension, the rumor mill just starts going crazy. Now, obviously, Adam Cole is the boyfriend of Britt Baker, so of course that starts all the speculation. Could he be going to AEW? In addition to that, he was part of the Bullet Club with the Young Bucks at one point before he went on to NXT. So, a lot of reason for him to go to AEW if that's what he chooses to do. But obviously there hasn't been anything official yet. Now, if he drops the NXT title to Velveteen Dream at the In Your House takeover event, that could be a sign that WWE is not planning for him to be around a whole lot longer. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with that. Some other rumors going around is that some of the WWE Championship belts are going to be getting a redesign. Now, nothing I read was specific as to which titles were going to be getting redesigned, but from what I did read, one title is getting a major overhaul, another one is just kind of getting tweaked a little bit, but it wasn't specific as to which ones. But the only one I can really think of getting a major overhaul would be the United States title, because that one has been the same since it was introduced. That title has not changed, except for briefly when John Cena had it and he had the custom spinner title. But outside of that, the United States title has looked exactly the same ever since it was introduced by the WWE. So I would hope that that's the one that's getting the complete redesign. Curious to see what it would look like. I mean, I know there's been like fan renderings of different United States championships. The most popular one, the one that I see all over the place, kind of has the shape and the design of the classic Intercontinental title, but with the United States kind of motif with the American flag and the eagle and things like that, which is a really, really cool design. If WWE was to go with that one, I don't think they will, but that is really the best one that I've seen as far as speculation and just like I said, like fan renderings. But so I'm interested to see what new belts WWE might be introducing in the near future. On the commentary side on WWE, it looks like Samoa Joe is going to be the permanent replacement for Jerry the King Lawler on the Monday Night Raw commentary team. Now, from what I saw on this one, it's not necessarily that Joe is never going to wrestle again. It's just that he's going to be more. I guess commentary is now going to be his full-time job, and he'll still be involved in storylines here and there to kind of lighten his schedule in the ring, because he has had some injury issues the last several years, so I think this is something that could really help prolong his in-ring career by kind of spacing out his matches a little bit more. And on commentary, Joe is fantastic. I have no problem with Joe being on the Raw commentary team every week. So I think that's a smart move by WWE. And it's great for Joe, because he is one that could transition into a full-time announcer once he is completely done in the ring, and do a damn good job at it, as he has been so far. Talking about commentary teams, it came out this week that NXT announcer Nigel McGuinness has been furloughed by WWE. Now, furloughed doesn't mean released, doesn't mean he's never coming back. Basically means laid off, due to the budget cuts and stuff like that as a result of the whole COVID-19 pandemic and stuff like that, or at least that's the reason that's being given for all this stuff. But hopefully he'll be back on commentary sooner rather than later, because honestly, the NXT commentary team is my favorite in WWE. I love Mauro Ranallo, I love Nigel McGuinness, and Beth Phoenix has become a great commentator in the short time that she has been doing it. So NXT, for my money, NXT has the best announced team on WWE right now. Moving into some AEW news, some more results from Double or Nothing last week. The Best Friends defeated Private Party to become the number one contenders for the tag team titles, and they'll get that match at Fyter Fest, and they will either be taking on current champions Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, or Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc. Sabian and Havoc have a title match coming up this week on Dynamite, so we'll see who the winner of that one is, and they will be the ones going on to take on Best Friends at Fyter Fest. I already talked about the debut of Brian Cage with Taz in his corner. Cage was the winner of the Casino Ladder match, so he gets his title match against Moxley at Fyter Fest as well. The first ever TNT champion was crowned at Double or Nothing, and that champion was Cody Rhodes. Defeated Lance Archer in a great match between these two guys. Now the TNT belt, I think, leaves a little bit to be desired, but it was announced that the belt is not finished because of the quarantine and limited, companies being limited in what they're able to do as far as, having employees there and work they're able to get done. So obviously there was a delay in finishing the belt. apparently is supposed to be some gold plating and some other embellishments and stuff like that. But I think the base idea for the belt that we saw, I like it. I mean, I like what it could be. It's got the red strap with the silver plates, very reminiscent of the NWA World Television Championship, which I like. I mean, at first glance, you know, when they posted a picture of it on social media, I was, you know, first thing it reminded me of, obviously, was the WWE 24/7 Championship, which, you know, not my favorite belt in the world, just because it wasn't a very good view. It was it wasn't an up close view of it. It was a picture of Mike Tyson holding it, so it was hard to get a good look at it. But, you know, after getting a good close look at it and hearing that it's not finished, there's still some more work to be done on it, I think it'll be a pretty good title once it's all said and done. So I'm willing to withhold judgment on that until I see the actual finished product. We also have a new AEW Women's Champion. Hikaru Shida defeated Nyla Rose to win the title at Double or Nothing. You know, great no holds barred match between these two women, and you know, one of the best matches at the pay-per-view, honestly. So great match between those two women, and congratulations to Hikaru Shida, new AEW Women's Champion. Then on Dynamite, we saw Jungle Boy win a Battle Royal to become the first number one contender for the TNT title. So he'll be taking on Cody this coming week for the TNT Championship in the first title defense. I already talked about Omega and Page taking on Sabian and Havoc for the tag team titles this week. And then at the end of AEW Dynamite, we saw a confrontation between Chris Jericho and Mike Tyson. And this was very, very reminiscent, and I'm sure it was on purpose that it was like this, but very reminiscent of the confrontation between Tyson and Stone Cold Steve Austin back, before WrestleMania 14, and I thought it was great. Tyson, obviously a huge pro wrestling fan, you know, loves getting in the ring and interacting with pro wrestlers and being part of the storylines, and you can just tell he is having a great time doing this, and I liked it. I mean, I don't see it as AEW's ripping anything off of WWE. I did see some people make comments about that and that kind of thing. I thought it was a great segment. I want to see where it's going to go. Is Mike Tyson actually going to have a match with Jericho? I know Tyson's been training to make a return to boxing. Could he also be getting in a wrestling ring as well? Hey, I'm here for it. I can't wait to find out what's going to happen. Some ROH news that I haven't been able to have any ROH news for a while. But Flip Gordon has re-signed a contract extension with Ring of Honor. On the Impact side, the finals of the number one contender tournament for the Impact World title is going to be Trey Miguel versus Ace Austin. Kind of a surprise. I was expecting to see Michael Elgin in the finals of that tournament, but it is Trey and Ace Austin. So I can't wait. That is going to be a high flying. Yeah, that match is going to be hard to keep up with. You know, I've done commentary on Rascals matches before, and they're hard to keep up with. So Trey versus Ace Austin is going to be no different. I can't wait to see that one. Impact also announced through a vignette that Deonna Purrazzo is going to be making appearances for Impact. Now, from what I read, she's on a per appearance deal, has not signed a permanent contract. So I'll have to see, how she fits into the Knockouts division. But the Impact Women's division is stacked. I mean, Impact probably has the best women's division in wrestling right now, and that's really not a surprise. Impact has always had Impact, TNA, whatever you want to call them. I've always had a strong women's division. I mean, it could be argued that the Impact Knockouts division is kind of what sparked the whole women's revolution in wrestling. So not a big surprise that the Impact Knockouts division is just stacked, and Deonna Purrazzo just adds to that. We finally saw the partnership, or the pairing, or however you want to say it, of Havoc and Nevaeh on Impact this past week when they teamed up to take out Kimber Lee. Now, Havoc and Nevaeh already, partners on the indie scene, partners in WoW Women of Wrestling as Havoc and Hazard. So no surprise that Impact put the two of them together. They're a great team. They have great chemistry together, work very well together, and just put a hurting on Kimberly this past week with nobody coming out to help her. So I'm interested to see who will suffer their wrath next. We also saw a tag team, a cinematic tag team title match on Impact with the North taking on the Deaners at the Deaner compound. Yeah, see, this is one of those cases where, like I said, the cinematic matches are either great or they just kind of fall flat. This one for me kind of fell flat. It was okay. Don't get me wrong. I like the Deaners. I like the North. It just, this one didn't grab my attention a whole lot. But the North versus the Deaners at the Deaner compound. The North are still the tag team champions for Impact. So, yeah, the North has been having these kind of matches, not necessarily like outdoors and things like that, but the North has been having these kind of matches the last several weeks, taped from Canada. So, just kind of keep it's Impact's way of keeping the North visible, keeping their tag team champions visible, having the title defenses and things like that. So I got no issue with it. Like I said, this particular match just didn't really grab my attention. And again, on the tag team side, next week we are going to have a what looks to be a pretty good knockouts tag team match with Kylie Ray and Su Young taking on Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. So that should be a very good match with those four women. Some MLW news. It was announced that Alexander Hammerstone has re-signed with MLW. So both remaining members of the Dynasty, Hammerstone and Holiday, have re-signed. I'm curious to see where the Dynasty is going to go when we start having, the weekly shows again, because MJF no longer a part of MLW. He lost that Loser Leaves Town match to Mance Warner, several weeks ago. So I take that to mean his MLW contract is up and he's now exclusively with AEW. So I'm interested to see where the Dynasty is going to go after this. And then some NWA news again. That I haven't had much NWA news the last several weeks is Ricky Starks announced that he is now a free agent. His contract with the NWA is up. Obviously has not signed a new one, so he is now a free agent. Anybody who picks him up would be very smart to do so. Wouldn't surprise me to see him in AEW. I think AEW or Impact would probably be the best fit for Ricky Starks, in my opinion. Not saying he shouldn't go to WWE if an offer is made or anything like that. I just think, with his style, his personality, things like that, I think AEW or Impact would be a really, really good fit for him. So that's about it for news and rumors for the week. So right now, I'm going to throw it over to Charlie G, and this is this week's Indie Cut.
Thank you, Tom, and hey to wrestling friends. I am Charlie G with your Indie Cut. There was a little bit more wrestling action this week, but before I begin with that, if you're wondering why I left out remembering Chad Gaspard and Hannah Kamara on last week's show, it's that I knew Tom would do a great job for Chad, and I taped my part Friday before the news of Hannah. Now, I will be honest, if I did my part last week, I don't know if I could have got through it properly, because the loss of Hannah Kamara hit me hard. I have followed her career for the past couple of years, since I saw her on Ring of Honor, and that's pretty much how I became a fan of Stardom, and why I cover them for the cut. Her accomplishments started in 2005 at age 8, where she won the DDT Iron Man Heavy Metal Championship against Tanny Mouse, only to lose it minutes later to her mom, Kyoko Kiramura. She then began her true career in 2016, winning the Princess of Pro Wrestling and JWP Junior Championships on the same day, the Artists of Stardom Tag Championships a month later, and Goddesses of Stardom Tag Championships a year later. Winning Rookie of the Year from Wrestling Observer Newsletter that same year in 2017. Her last title came in 2019, winning again the Artists of Stardom Tag Championships. She also won the Stardom 5-Star Grand Prix Tournament and the Fighting Spirit Year-End Award for 2019. This was truly tragic and unnecessary life loss. The lack of respect shown by fans to bully her standing up for herself on a reality show because some fool ruined her prize gear from Wrestle Kingdom is a sad joke. For what little she did to the guy, there was no point to bully her, let alone suggest her death. Being bullied can be a struggle for anyone, and extra hard during these times of not being able to be close to their friends or loved ones for support. The last video I saw of her was from May 19th on the Stardom YouTube channel with her Tokyo Cyber Squad, and things seem fine, but as we know now, things did not go well after. The lasting picture of her smiling as the chat ended will be what I remember most, of her being happy with her friends one last time. So rest in paradise, Chad and Hannah. You will always be remembered. If you were like me this week looking up Hannah Kimura matches to see the true talent that left us too soon, look up Big Willie Isms. That's Big WILLIEISMS on Twitch from Tuesday night on the past videos for his take on matches. He did a nice, respectful job, I must say. Now to this week's action, starting with DDT TV show number 4 from May 23rd. The highlights are DDT Iron Man Heavy Metal title match, of course, with Dansuko Dino champion versus Antonio Honda in a no contest. For the DDT Universal title 3-way match, Daisuke Sake champion defeated Chris Brooks and Yomo Ishimura. And in a tag match for the main event was Hiroshima and Masato. Oh, not the main event. Semi-main event was Hiroshima and Masato Tanaka defeating Daisuke Sasaki and Somo Tokyo. In the main event, it was KO'd openweight title match with champion Masato Tanaka defeating Shinya Okoi. Also on the 23rd, 2AW Grand Slam TV was on. New Ice Ribbon number 1042. And Dragon Gate King of the Gate 2020 Day 5. With a tag match of Ho Ho Loon and Super Shisa defeating Jimmy and Monday Rio. Second round matches were Kyoto Ishida defeating Kensuke Okadu by countout, and Naruki Daio defeating Kai. Then back here in the States, also on the 23rd, Wrestle Club Biohazard 4 was on in Idaho. Fist Parking Lot Pro Wrestling was in San Diego. And this one was interesting. The GWA Feeding South Florida Gangrel's Wrestling Asylum in Dania Beach, Florida. Chelsea Durden defeated Kylan King. She was just recently on TV for AEW Dark. And in the GWA Heavyweight title match, champion LeKay defeated Gangrel. So at least he puts over talent for his own company there. On May the 24th, Noah put on A New Hope Day 1. Big Japan put on Crisis Survivor Volume 1. And All Japan Pro Wrestling Broadcast number 4. Invitation to the Royal Road. Highlights are Tajiri and Yuma Nogoi defeating Hikaru Sato and Yoshiki Okada. Jake Lee defeated Yoshitatsu. And in the main event, it was Kuma Arishi and Shotaro Ishano defeating Akira Francesco and Kento Mirahara. Also on the 24th, there was Dragon Gate King of the Gate 2020 Day 6. In a six-man tag match, it was Team Don Fuji, Masato Yoshino, and Yasushi Kenda defeating Team Dragon Gate of Kota Minoru, Oji Shiba, and Punch Tamagawa. Second round matches are Dragon Dia defeating Kazuma Sakamoto, and Iti defeating Ben K. Then on May 27th, Ice Room put on a party number 43, and All Japan Pro Wrestling did a Wednesday special of the Gira TV Championship. Their champion is Yoshitatsu. Yes, Yoshitatsu of WWE fame, and he defeated Shingo Tachibana. Sorry about those names, folks, but not hearing them enough, I don't know how to pronounce them myself. Now it's time for the Tubi Throwback Machine with Lucha Underground's Episode 7 and 8. Episode 7 was Top of the Ladder from December 10th, 2014. Match 1 was King Cuerno against Superfly. Superfly is a AAA wrestler, part of the OGTs. In this episode, he has a mask, so in AAA right now, he doesn't have a mask, so you should understand. You should see him how he really looks nowadays. Early on in the match, Drago stood atop the temple watching Cuerno. The two showed off the classic Lucha Libre movement in a kind of a short match. Cuerno landed his big game move, which is a Michinoku driver for the win. After a break, we see a video for Pentagon Jr.'s origin, which is pretty cool. Second match is Chavo Guerrero Jr. with Pentagon Jr. in his corner against Phoenix with Sexy Star in his corner. This was a nice back and forth match until Chavo reversed a top rope move by Phoenix's double knees into a single leg crab. Chavo continued to work on the leg. Phoenix finally got some offense in when Chavo tried to knock him outside the ring. He went for a wild twisting splash, landing on both Chavo and Pentagon. Once back in the ring, it was pretty much even with both men limping. Phoenix went to the top rope again, and Pentagon made him do the splits, giving Chavo the opportunity to land the famous Guerrero Frog Splash for the win. After the match, Sexy Star grabbed the mic, saying she is not done with him, and that Blue Demon Jr. is coming for Pentagon. In the main event, it was Johnny Mundo against Prince Puma, against Big Rick in a triple threat ladder match for the $100,000. Before the main event started, we see the mystery woman yet again, sitting right behind Matt Striker. Yes, that Matt Striker from Labor of Love on Fox, and Vampiro. They show a hype video for AEW's Brian Cage, who is headed to the temple soon. The match was really between Mundo and Puma, as Rick stayed outside early on. Once he found his way to get rid of both men and climb the ladder alone, he was too afraid and asked his crew to come out and help, only to be beaten down to the floor. Later on, Puma pulled off a sweet move, flying over the top rope through the ladder onto Rick and his crew next to Danny Trejo, which is pretty cool. He was a big fan of Lucha Underground for pretty much their whole entirety. You'll see him in the crowd quite a bit. That advantage didn't last long, as Rick and crew came in the ring to fight Mundo and Puma for a while. A few table spots to the crew followed. Rick tossed Puma onto a bridge ladder, breaking it in half. Rick tried to get the briefcase using two ladders until Mundo stopped him with a low blow kick. It looked like he had the win until a masked person came in to stop him, yet another part of Rick's crew. Somehow, someway, the crew or Rick could not grab the briefcase from the ladder, only to be fended off by Mundo, who grabbed the briefcase for the win. After the match, Dario Cueto came out to the ring, asking for his key back and keep their deal. And since he asked for it so nicely, Mundo gave it to him with a nice punch to the face. A good show all around. The ladder match was action-packed, and with a little bit of everything. Now for episode 8, a unique opportunity from December 17th, 2014. The show starts off with 10 wrestlers in the ring for a 10-way match, as Dario Cueto explains, and there will be another 10 wrestler match later on, with the winners getting a unique opportunity that is much more precious than money. So in the ring first is Phoenix, Pentagon Jr., King Cuerno, Drago, Big Rick, Superfly, Prince Puma, Son of Havoc, El Mariachi Loco, and Masquerita Sagrada. As a 10-man match, it was hard to recap everything, but there was a lot of attention to Sagrada. Everyone landing a high spot in and out of the ring. Everyone attacking Big Rick a few times. Puma and Phoenix showed off their talent. Drago and Cuerno continued their battle. In the end, Phoenix hit a tilt-a-whirl DDT and a modified pile driver for the win on Pentagon in a really fun, awesome match. After a break, we see another hype video for the man called Cage. Then we head to the locker room where Conan is yelling at Puma for letting his opportunity get away once again. In match 2, it's Mil Muertes, Johnny Mundo, Sexy Star, Pimpinella Escalada, the crew of Cortez Castro, Mr. Cisco, and Bale, who was the mystery man the last show. He is known now as B-Boy on the independents, mostly on the West Coast. I can't say that I've seen him before, since he's B-Boy. Sorry, guy. Famous B, Ricky Mandel, and Chavo Guerrero end out the field. The next opportunity match is a Boyle Heights Battle Royal. Early on, we see the mystery woman yet again looking on. This was just action-packed with strong moves and for each elimination. First elimination is Famous B by Pimpinella. Next was Mandel by the crew. Pimpinella by Muertes. Chavo tossed Sexy Star very easily. Mundo almost got kicked out by Castro, but held on by his toes. Johnny Mundo exclusive, leading Mundo to flip Castro out using his legs. Chavo threw Cisco out. Muertes speared Bale, then threw him out, leaving the final three of Chavo, Mundo, and Muertes. Mundo eliminated Chavo with a springboard kick after he was caught on the top rope. Muertes countered Mundo's end of the world finisher and clotheslined him out of the ring for the big win. So in the main event, it was Mil Muertes against Phoenix. Before the main event started, Cueto comes out with the power in the form of the Lucha Underground Championship. And the luchador who wears the belt will be the greatest fighter in the world. He proclaims in 3 weeks for the first show of the new year at Aztec Warfare, the luchador who survives will be his new champion. For tonight, the winner of the match will have a unique opportunity at Aztec Warfare to enter last, and the loser will be first. So for the match, it was Muertes had control most of the match, landing a spear, a power slam, only for Phoenix to fight back, hitting a swift cutter on Muertes. Phoenix tried the top rope move, only to be caught by a hard punch, leading to the flatliner by Muertes for the win, and the number 20 at Aztec Warfare. After the match, we see Cueto admiring the championship and talking to someone who he can't let touch it because he likes to destroy pretty things. Still don't know who he's talking to or what it's all about, but it has to do something with that key. These matches are pretty fun. First, the Battle Royal is nice. I enjoyed that more than the first match. And the main event was kind of like 5 minutes. What do you want from two guys who just fought in 10-man action? So, good two shows. Hope the next two are just as well. Good as well. So that's a wrap for me. Till next time with any news or shows. Don't forget to look at those Twitch streams and YouTube channels for other wrestling content. A lot more Twitch wrestlers out there. One of King Corbin, Shawn Spears, and Tyler Breeze as roommates. So check them out. They're actually it's interesting that they're roommates. But hey, do what you gotta do in these days, right? Thank you for watching or listening. Hope you enjoyed the cut. Stay safe, take care, and be kind, everyone. Back to you, Tom.
Alright, that was the Indie Cut with Charlie G. Thank you, as always, for all your contributions to the show, Charlie. And this point in the show is normally where I would have the segment known as the Troll of the Week. Now, I omitted that segment last week due to the tragedy, the tragic death of Hana Kimura, due in large part to cyberbullying. I just didn't think it would be appropriate for last week, and with everything going on in the world right now, I have made the decision to kind of retire the Troll of the Week segment. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think it's responsible to be highlighting ignorance and hate in the times that we are going through right now. So as of right now, the Troll of the Week is done. It is retired. It is no more. Like I said, I just don't feel it's appropriate. I don't feel it's responsible to even lightheartedly, even if it's tongue in cheek, even if it's done just for a laugh or a goof. I don't think it's right to be highlighting just ignorance and hate and stuff like that. So yeah, the Troll of the Week is finished. But starting next week, I will have a brand new segment for the show. It'll be a lot more upbeat, a lot more positive. I'm not going to give the name of it or anything like that, but there will be a very special guest on the show to help me introduce this new segment. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think much more appropriate and just a much more positive thing to have on the show. So that's pretty much all I'm going to give away right now. But definitely tune in next week. Like I said, a brand new segment with a special guest for the first episode of this new segment. So make sure you check out the show next week for that. So moving right along, the next part of the show, always a positive feature and one of my favorites because I get to just fantasize and use my imagination and stuff. And I'm talking about the Fantasy Booker. Before I get into my fantasy booker for this week, I just want to mention, in case if you guys are hearing music in the background, it is one of my neighbors. There's like a window right next to where I record here, and my neighbor's garage is right outside that window. And apparently he's a DJ or something like that. And he, ever since this quarantine's been in place, that's just seems like every day he's out in his garage DJing with the garage door open. Can't really complain too much. It's the middle of the day, I mean, hey, have a good time, dude. So. If you're hearing some some music pounding or whatever in the background while I'm talking, that's what it is. But anyway, on to the Fantasy Booker, and this is one that I think pretty much everybody's been waiting for. This is one that I am positive is going to happen in the near future, but it's still, it's a fantasy matchup. It's a dream match, and I'm talking about FTR versus the Young Bucks. And this is one. It's a big clash in styles. The Young Bucks, obviously, they're big time high spot guys. They're high flyers. FTR, they are much more mat based. There was an awesome picture of FTR online this week, backstage at AEW with Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, and it was just, yeah, wow. To see all four of those guys together, it was just an awesome sight. And FTR definitely very reminiscent of Arn and Tully, the Brainbusters, the Horsemen, whatever you want to call them. So, but yeah, FTR versus the Bucks. It's going to happen. FTR just made their debut in AEW this past week, actually helping the Young Bucks, but I don't think that's going to last too long. Everybody wants to see FTR versus the Bucks. It's been kind of a recurring joke on being the elite. That's kind of where the FTR thing came from. I mean, FTR in WWE stood for Forever the Revival. On being the elite, it was, I think it was coined by Cody Rhodes, "Fuck the Revival," was kind of his catchphrase on there until they got hit with a cease and desist. But, so yeah. FTR and the Young Bucks, it's going to happen at some point, and it's going to be one of the best tag team matches in history. I am 99.9% sure of that. Unless something goes drastically wrong, it is going to be one of the best tag team matches that you're ever going to see. So, yeah, make sure you're paying attention to AEW for that one, because it's coming. It's not going to be just a fantasy for too much longer. So that is this week's fantasy booker, is FTR versus the Young Bucks. Yeah, AEW, it's going to happen. I'm not even going to say, please let this happen. It's going to happen. So that's going to do for the fantasy booker. And moving on to my last segment of the show for this week, typically an unpopular opinion, and some people may not like this one, but, hey, it is what it is, and at the end of the day, it's my opinion. So, that's pretty much all I can say about it. And, of course, I am talking about the weekly hot take. Weekly hot take for this week is Monday Night Raw currently has the best group of champions in wrestling. I mean, take a look at who your champions are on Raw. You got Drew McIntyre as the WWE champion, Asuka as the women's champion, Apollo Crews as the new United States champion, and the Street Profits as tag team champions. This is, for me, the quintessential championship lineup. You've got your top guy, Drew McIntyre, as your top champion, your top women's wrestler, and Asuka as your women's champion. Probably one of your best, if not the best, mid-card guy. I'm not going to call him a jobber because he's not, but the best, I think the guy with one of the brightest futures now that he's finally getting, pushed a little bit, is Apollo Crews as a United States champion. So hopefully, that is a good spot for him to be in. Hopefully he gets, a little bit more prominent storylines and things like that. But yeah, Apollo Crews definitely a great United States champion, and Street Profits, one of the best tag teams WWE has right now. And their current rivalry with the Viking Raiders, I think, leaves a little to be desired, especially with the stuff they've been doing the last few weeks with the mini golf and the axe throwing and the basketball. I mean, I get it. It's entertaining, and they have to fill TV time, and it shows kind of a different side of the Viking Raiders personality-wise. So, I mean, I get it. It's entertaining. I'm not saying that it's not. It's just, again, it's not my thing. But as far as, champions go, as far as in-ring work and stuff like that, you could not get a better team as your tag team champions than the Street Profits. And once they start, having some more matches with the Viking Raiders, I mean, those are the two best teams on Raw for me, without a doubt. What else can be said? So, yeah, for my money, Monday Night Raw has the best core of champions of any wrestling show out there right now, including AEW. I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody knows I love AEW. I like Moxley. I like Cody. I like Paige and Omega, and Hikaru Shida is one of the best women's wrestlers I've ever seen. But I just think, as far as who you think champions should be, I don't think there are too many complaints that anybody could make about champions on Monday Night Raw. So yeah, that's my hot take. Monday Night Raw has the best group of champions in wrestling right now. So that is pretty much going to do it for this week for the show. Now, next week coming up, I'll have my preview and predictions for the NXT TakeOver In Your House event coming up on June 7th. So make sure you check that one out. Like I said, I will have a new segment debuting to replace the Troll of the Week segment. We'll have a very special guest on the show to kick that one off the right way. And all the other news and rumors and usual segments that you see and hear on the show. So once again, I want to thank everybody for watching, listening, and subscribing on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts from. Make sure you're following on social media. It's at CatchHookShoot on all social media platforms. ProWrestlingTees.com/CatchHookShoot for all your t-shirt needs. Patreon.com/CatchHookShoot for all your bonus content. And the email address, like always, is CatchHookShoot@gmail.com. So with that, I want to say again, I hope everybody's staying safe, staying healthy, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and that's pretty much it. Like I said, stay safe, stay healthy, take care of each other, be nice to each other. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes before you say something stupid to them, and just be good people. That's the gist of what I'm trying to say here. So with that, I am going to sign off for right now. Thank you again, everybody, for checking out the show, and I will talk to you guys soon.